This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
That was kind of a funny voice recording there. Yeah, you do kind of have a radio voice, don't you? Anyway, this is Dan calling. Talk to you when I talk to you. Later, bye.
January 28th, 2021. My name's Corey Winfield.
Marney Winfield here.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. I used to have a message on my voicemail it sounded like it was a real one because I did it, but if you would have listened to it, you'd be like, wow, like that's the Verizon guy or the answering service guy, you know.
Yeah, it got me.
Did it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty good. I don't remember even what it sounded like, but I was told it was pretty good.
It said, the Sprint customer you are trying to reach. Something.
It's unavailable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just me. And then I did something at the end, I think.
He said, no, I'm just kidding. It's Corey. I can't get to my phone, leave a message.
That guy's so
sneaky.
Funny. Yeah. So that's kind of what Dan was talking about there. It is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Thank you for listening. Tonight we're going to keep it kind of short. We just got a movie review to do, and it's of a recovery movie. Mm-hmm. You would think. Mm-hmm. You would think it was a recovery movie. But just do a quick check-in. How was your day, Marnie? What's going on?
Day was good. Had day off and had to put together. I did an early spring cleaning. We'll just say that.
Yeah. If you listened to the last podcast, you heard us all up in a hotel.
Yeah, we had to. Our apartment was, what would you call it, fumigated? Yeah. So anyhow, it wasn't it was our neighbor's issue, but which became our issue. So needless to say, it needed to be addressed, and that required moving everything out and back in our entire kitchen, which is very time consuming. But I just look at it in a positive way that I did an early spring cleaning. And
we haven't, since we've been back, we haven't seen any bugs.
Nope.
Nico, though, has been camping out, waiting to get some bugs, which makes me leery. But I haven't seen any, and we'll just wait and see what she does. See if she can find a few stragglers. But yeah, it was good, and like you said, think of the positive of it. And yeah, we haven't seen any more. And hey, spring cleaning got it done.
Yeah,
there's more room in our cupboards now.
Yep, got rid of old stuff.
Friend Charles gets her hand-me-downs usually. Here, take this to Charles. Hey, give this to Charles. Hey, Charles might need this.
Yeah.
So Charles, if you're listening, man, we think about you a lot, and there's a lot of things that actually get rejected. I'm like, let's give it to Charles, and wifey's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm like, you can buy a brand new one of those for like $10. We're not going to give them an old.
But who doesn't need a toaster? Like, honey, $10, you can get you one. Yeah, but that's $10 he doesn't have to spend for one.
Yeah, well.
Like, honey, he doesn't need the pillows from our couch. They fit our couch only. Like, what would you do with those? I don't know. Everybody likes pillows.
That's the thought that counts. We'll just leave it at that.
He needs to start like a secondhand store.
Yeah.
And then you just make money off the crap we give him. Here you go, Charles. But anyway, the movie we watched today, we watched a couple movies, and I've been watching more movies than usual in the last few days. And most of them have been based on real stories.
Yeah, that's always a catch when it does say based on a true story.
So first, this movie that I watched yesterday that I have to talk about because it fooled me. It was a pretty good film, but I was under the pretext that it was a real life story, based on true story. I mean, it was based on a story that somebody told in a book. I don't know if that makes it a true story, but I actually did some history research, and it didn't happen that way. And the movie's called Emperor, and it's on Starz. And it has to do with the raid on Harper's Ferry, which was this guy named John Brown, and John Brown was a white guy. Him and his sons, and I think they took 5. It was like 5 slaves. It was like 17 people. They went and they got these guns, and it was just this little broken down little fort that they just kept guns there. And they were like, we got to end slavery. And they said that's kind of what popped off the whole Civil War and the whole fight for slavery or over slavery. So it was kind of a big deal. But at the same time, the guy that was supposed to be the emperor, Shields was his name. He didn't get away. He actually died, and he was
in real life or in the movie.
He was hung up when the Marines were sent to get them
and
guns
in the movie,
back.
in the movie, he got away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, I didn't watch
they
that
saved
one.
his son, and his son wrote this book, and hey, here it is. And no, no, not like that at all. But
that's why it's based on a true story. It's not completely.
It's based on a story that somebody wrote in a book.
Aren't so
I'm going to make a
that
movie
way.
and be like, this is based on, and it's going to have like a guy with a hook arm, and he's going to see like a little magical fairy dancing around, and I'll be like, no, based on a story that I read in a book somewhere. That's the truth. So they can flip it and be like, true story.
So did you like it? Yeah, it was a good movie though.
It was all right until I realized it was all fake, and like didn't happen.
That's like 99% of movies that exist.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, Emperor, it was all right, but just don't watch it thinking that that's what happened, because it's not. Sorry if I spoiled that for you. But it was all right. It was all right. I tell you what, though, that's probably one of the toughest eras to live in. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to The Ticket a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about time machines. I'm like, oh man, this is my subject. And they were talking about what era they go back to, and then the midday host Donovan came on, and he was like, black people, we don't like to think about time travel. I was like, well, yeah. He's like, man, if I went back, 100 years, where would my ass end up, And it's like, damn, he's got a good point. I never really thought about that. He's like, yeah, that's why black people, we don't talk about time travel. We don't want to try to go back 100 years. I'm like, okay. So that makes sense. But, yeah, I'm glad I didn't live during that time, because I don't want to own anybody. Like, I don't know. Like, that would have just been so awkward. And then, like, going up to your friend's house and they have slaves or something, and you just be like, I don't know. It would just be awkward. Like, I wouldn't want to hang out with those people, but then I would be looked upon, like shunned upon, because I didn't own any, or I don't know. It seems weird thinking that you would own a person. I don't know. I just couldn't get that through my mind.
I can't even imagine. I don't even want to even try to have to imagine having to live in that time.
Like to walk around. Like,
no, it's just awful. It's one of it's in the history of tragedies, if you want to call it that. That whole entire everything about that is wrong, and I don't think I could handle it. I don't even want to even try to think about it.
Obviously, I wouldn't want to be a slave, but I think I wouldn't want to be a slave owner either. I mean, it's just icky.
Of course not. No, I don't even want. I don't even like talking about it.
That's how you get over things. You talk about them. I don't know. Just stuff I was thinking about. Anyway, so the movie tonight. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the name of it?
A Million Little Pieces.
Yes. On your movie scale, 1 to 10, what do you give it? Or do you want to talk about it first?
It was a 5.
5?
Mm-hmm. Oh. It was okay. It kept my attention. I'm always interested in watching movies that are about recovery. I think it's interesting how they... let's see how to explain this. So when you do a trailer, right, you're supposed to touch on, like, you're supposed to make the movie appealing to watch, the entire thing, right? And also when it's explained in words, what is this movie? In 2 sentences, what's this movie about, And I can't remember exactly word for word what it was, but it doesn't ever say, I think it says something about a man trying to find his higher power as does he say recovering addict? I can't remember what the exact words were. I probably should have wrote it down. But anyway, all of those movies always appeal to me because I'm interested to see how they're presented. And, you know, I don't know how much truth there is to all of them. Because they had okay, do you want to give the little of what it's about?
Yeah, it's about a guy who goes to rehab.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. There you go. It's about a guy who goes to rehab.
Yeah.
He's not a funny guy. He's angry.
Yeah. It's a very there's a lot of hard truths to it, and it's very realistic and things that they're, you know, little tiny things that they present. Like they talked about how the guy doesn't remember he's all of a sudden comes to after this terrible, however many year bender. He's a heroin addict amongst other things. Yeah. And he wakes up on a plane and he doesn't know where he's at and he doesn't know how he got there. And he's asking for alcohol. And she says she can't give it to him. And he says, why not? She says, because the doctor who carried you on the plane said you can't. And that almost similar thing has happened to me. I actually had to get carried into a rehab. And it's not funny when I say that. But it's the truth. Like that little tiny piece had truth to me. It was like my part of my story. And then it shows him detoxing, which is always hard to watch in movies. You know, and I mean, I know it's a movie, but it's still like, that writhing pain and sickness. And then it's nice to see, you know, they have the counselors and so on in there all talking about their own story. They reflect on the fact that they're in recovery as well, that was kind of a good thing to have in there, I thought. But, you know, it's somebody somewhere wanted to write a movie about what people go through and there's a lot of truths to how, you know, the feelings that he was having there and the, you know, anger that he had and the growth that he had while he was in there. What about you? What did you think?
I gave it a 1.
1?
Yeah.
You were also only watching it for like half the movie.
No, I watched the whole thing. I did. Watched the whole thing. And here's where it lost me. Again, kind of set this up like I did with the previous movie, Emperor. I started doing some research on the movie. And the movie, I mean, was it meh? Maybe I'm too hard on the movie just because the story is what I'm really not digging. The guy who wrote the book, name is James Fry, and he wrote that book, A Million Little Pieces, as his memoir. And then a lot of people came out and said, no, I know James, none of that happened. Oprah even put him on blast. And like his fans are writing him, telling him that he sucks and they hope he gets ass cancer. And so then he went into this little, oh no. But yeah, so it was all faked. And some of the stuff in the movie, it just wasn't making sense. Like when he was walking down the hall and he was supposed to be hallucinating and he's seeing like poop or mud, water, or whatever it was, like all over the walls. And I'm like, what's going on here, man? Like, and I don't know. It was too much. Like, there's some people who like all drugs. Sure. But this guy was supposed to be 23 and just loved him some crack. And okay, I get it. But usually when you love one drug, you love one more than the other. Like there's always that one that we go to. For us, it was alcohol. Sure, if I was drinking and somebody had some other drugs, sure, let's try them. But I would always, start with my first. So there was a lot of inconsistencies with what was his drug of choice. That's kind of why we have that saying, what's your drug of choice? And so he would like, more, whatever I can get my hands on. Okay, I get it, but there is still one that I believe people go after. So that was kind of hard to believe. And then like this girl that he falls in love with at rehab, it takes off to the bus. That's the only thing I liked about it was the bus stop. When the girl went to the bus stop and then you see all the drugs and everything's available at the bus stop, which I'm like, don't send people to bus stops and you're sending them to rehab. It's a horrible idea. That's the only thing I liked about the movie. But I don't know, just once you pull back the curtain and realize it's fake, it just kind of brought me down.
See, I didn't know it was. I mean, I don't know if it really matters because I just figure all movies are, even if it says based on a true story. But I don't know. I think I liked the pieces of the storyline was that he started from somewhere and that he, and the struggles that he was having throughout it. And a lot of those are real things. A lot of those are real thoughts that people have. And the fact he's like, I'm leaving, I'm out of here, I'm done. And the guy's like, just stick around, see what happens, pay attention. If you want to leave tomorrow, I'll help you pack. And then, next day he's like, I'm not staying. I just decided not to leave. And then he's there another day and then he ends up working the steps and, little stuff like that. I think you were getting way too into the whole, this is his real story thing to pick up on what kind of the stuff that was good in it, but that's okay, whatever.
Oh, obviously I've been to enough rehabs. My movie would be a lot better. I'll tell you that.
No,
my movie would be hilarious.
You would have way too many rehabs to pick from to do.
No, I would just take a little bit from this one, a little bit from that one, a little bit from that one, a little bit from this one, and then cram them all together and say loosely based.
Well, you said you didn't like when because that Papillion movie they did that, and you said that you didn't like that.
What movie?
That last one we just watched.
What are you talking about? I like that movie.
I know, but that was not that guy's memoirs. That was a bunch of different prisoners' stories in one movie. That's not just what happened
about him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Way different. Anyway, okay. I don't know. Pick a rehab, and I could make a movie out of my stay there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And most of them would be hilarious.
I bet.
Just kidding. One time I'll just tell the story in case James Fry's listening. He can write another movie about this incident. No, one time I was at a place in Grand Rapids and I was ready to go like normal. And so I was there, I don't know, a week or something. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And they're like, well, you can't because we need to make sure that you don't have any weapons in your house. I was like, well, I don't. Like, well, we didn't know that for sure. I was like, well, I don't own any weapons, I don't own a gun. And so they're like, all right. So then they like try to call my mom, my family. They want to talk to my brother because they're like, just who? I'm like, well, my stepfather, he hunts. My brother hunts. Oh, well, we're going to need to talk to them. I'm like, I don't live with them. How do they know what I have at my house? I was like, they don't. Like, this is stupid. And the lady was like a filling in psychiatrist, or I don't know what. It wasn't like her normal thing. She was kind of filling it. So she then asked me about more members of my family, and then I tell her, look, I have the whole side, the Winfield side of the family, who I don't even really know. I don't know if they own guns or not. Well, I'm going to need to talk to all of them before we release you. I don't even know their number. What are you talking? Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so they wouldn't release me. So I leave this little meeting with her telling me they're not going to release me until they get all this, gun stuff figured out. I walk out, and right there on the little table in the lobby for all the patients, clients, whatever, was the ad for Dunham's, and they were having a gun sale. So I made it worse. I circled them, ones I wanted to buy, and I carried it around with me, and then they finally told me, they're like, Corey, you got to stop this. Like, this is just too much. I know, that was very immature of me. Mm-hmm. Then I started drawing pictures. They're like, stop it. And I was like, well, I've been drawing a picture of a tree. And like when I came in there, I was feeling suicidal. And they asked me if I had a plan. And I was like, yeah, I want to drive my car into a tree. But I have to be sober to do it because I don't want them to think that I did it when I was drunk driving. So that was the hard part. I'm like, how am I going to do this sober? But I was drawing pictures of trees just because I like to draw trees and they're easy. Not because but I'm like, if you guys would pay attention to what I was saying, but instead you're running around thinking about guns. Like, I never once said anything about a gun. But, yeah. And then, but to see the gun ad right there, I'm like, okay, what are you people doing? I don't know. It was funnier in person, I guess.
I guess.
I was pretty upset about that. But no, the movie, I don't know if you just want to see it for what it is, but to me, it didn't seem very real. There were moments that I guess could have been, but there was just too much time for these people. They had these people at this rehab that had too much time. Dude was sneaking off to go hook up with this chick and outside lighting fires, burning, which people do. A lot of people, if they do their step 4 or whatever, they want to just leave the past in the past. They'll write it down and they'll burn the letter. But he's out there starting a bonfire with it. I'm like, Jesus, man. He
just burnt like 6 pieces of paper in the dirt.
It was a bonfire. You didn't see that? It was
not a bonfire.
It was.
You did not watch this movie.
Yeah, you had to come back and rewind it because you're like, hold on, was some house on fire? I was like, no, it was just burning some papers.
No, I didn't. I was like, what did they come out and tell him? Well, he was, burning his 5 pieces of paper, which you translate into being a bonfire.
It was a bonfire. It was huge. But that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. I wouldn't, if somebody in your family or someone you know is about to go to rehab, I wouldn't say, hey, watch this. This will get you ready for it. Because my mom tried that with me. Hey, here's 28 days.
I think there's a lot of pieces of it that are very, very true to what it is to be in rehab.
Okay, would you say that's more realistic than 28 days?
I mean, depends on what rehab you go to, I guess. I think it was probably common. If you took both those two and combined them, it would probably be about, yeah.
Yeah, and this wasn't a state-funded place either.
Right.
So it was an expensive place. Yeah, and some of the characters, like Billy Bob Thornton's character, you're going to meet some of those people in there. There was a lot of like famous people.
Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, she was in it. A couple other people, and I can't remember his name. DC's and Sneaky Pete. Anyway, that guy's in it. Only for a minute, but I don't know.
It's a movie about rehab, and I think it was interesting to watch.
That movie's about as good as my review of that movie is. So if that gives you any indication.
Less than mediocre is what he's saying.
Yeah, so watch it if you must, but I wouldn't put it on for someone that's going to treatment for the first time to go, hey, watch this. This is what it's going to be like.
No.
Maybe 28 days later,
mm-hmm.
put on that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is what rehab's really like. Monsters coming at you, eating your face off. Zombies everywhere. Didn't you ever see that movie?
No.
28 Days Later, it's like a zombie movie.
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah. That'd be more realistic. No. But, all right, well, that's our review of that movie. Thank you for listening.
Oh, I got I was inspired because I was thinking of things to do because I had a day off today, which was not very normal. And so I'm like, instead of just watching movies, what could I be doing other than, cleaning the kitchen, finishing doing that and stuff. But I remembered I really enjoy doing puzzles. And I don't know if you want to call it a hobby. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that I've done in the past that, brings me joy. It's, fun to pass the time with that. I think it's challenging. And so I was like, so I ordered one on Amazon that I really like, the photo mosaics ones that are extremely difficult. And I actually have done one of those in the past and completed it. And it's very time consuming. But I don't know. So, and I was like really excited to do one. And my mother-in-law had got me one for Christmas. And so I was like, I'm just going to get started on that one. So.
What made you think that, I like putting puzzles together?
I thought about getting one for a long time, but it's a space thing is the issue, is where you're going to put it. Because it's, you can't sit down and be like, I'm going to do this and finish it now. It's like, if you have some time and you're drinking coffee in the morning or whatever and go see what, work on it for a little while and exercise the brain,
Yeah.
Dexterity of the fingers, focus, sense of accomplishment. It's a whole shebang plus like I said, I'm doing it for fun, so there's no timetable. And
yeah, when you find that piece that fits, and you've been looking for 20 minutes.
Did you even see? Did you see how much I did? I did really well.
I did not.
Oh, okay. I'm afraid Nico's going to jump on it, though.
She will. All those pieces will be on the floor. But no, that's cool, though, that you can take a time or take time and realize, I'm watching too many movies. What else do I? Oh, puzzles, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Get into that kind of thing. And as people start to rediscover themselves, it's sometimes hard to figure out, well, what did I like? What do I do? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's all I did was drink. Mm-hmm. I can't sit here and watch Dog the Bounty Hunter ever because this is horrible. But when I was drunk, I'd watch it all the time like it was the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. But you start getting sober and you're like, wait a minute, what am I? I don't like this stuff. This is stupid. Why am I wasting my time? But that's cool. Yeah, if you can find stuff like that. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you for listening. We'll be back Saturday, and the website's there for you, all your needs, 217recovery.com. Really appreciate it. And, yeah, talk to you Saturday.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
See ya.